I mean, Maurice, I've heard you say this over and over again, the price of equipment versus the cost of equipment,
Yes.
right? We were just talking about how, in my opinion, I think the labor investment is a bigger deal than the dollars and cents of it.
Right.
So from your perspectives, when people are looking at selecting equipment, what are some of the hidden costs that they should consider when they're looking at the actual cost of equipment beyond the price?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and we do talk a lot about that with our customers, just because it is an important piece of it. You can have a very low cost initial purchase, and you're thinking, oh, that's great, but then what is it going to take to maintain it? What if it breaks down during paving season or right in the middle of a job? How much is that going to cost you? So being able to have a company that's going to be right there for you and offer you a level of service that is makes you feel, gives you that insurance that no matter what happens, you'll be able to take care of well and back up and running is a big part of it. And sometimes that gets lost when you put a price in front of a customer, right? You throw down the quote or the proposal, and they look at it and then they're like, hey, yeah, this looks great. But they forget to say, okay, well, what do I need to maintain this? What are my calibration costs? What are what's the warranty on this? And what I need to redo a little research and maybe ask a few people to see if does this break down often? What are other people experiences? And we try to provide that all for the customer. If they want to reference, if they want to know anything about us, we try to be an open book so they can make that good decision. If we're not the company, then we're not the company. But if we are, and I believe most of the time we are, because we have such a great team, then we try to make that decision easy for the customer. So that cost of ownership, because most of these pieces of equipment are going to be out there for 10, 20 years, hopefully is assessed and is also part of their operating budget, which is really important to know. If they're having a piece of equipment break down year or two after they bought it, great, you got an awesome price at the beginning, but guess what? Now you lost this opportunity, now you have to repair it, your guys are down, and you're not able to get the product out. And I'm sure it's the same for your side, Dan, in software, where you really want to consider everything, not only what you're seeing in front of you when you're purchasing or you're looking at that contract, but also what comes after. What do you think, Anthony? Does that resonate?
I think that sums it up. The one thing that I always think to myself with price versus cost is just the expertise and the support on the back end as far as the testing is concerned. Not all of these tests are readily available, or some of this stuff is new to the industry. So a lot of that back end support as far as like test procedures, sample preparation, all of the expertise for us kind of going through it.
Yeah.
Is something that's not necessarily included in the upfront cost. Like we don't charge, but it's in there as far as what we supply on the back end. And I think that's kind of lost in translation sometimes. It's a very important piece of support and good service, part of a good system.
How does it work with software? Do you guys feel that that there's always a cost after purchase besides just the price? And how does that work in your world?
There's definitely a cost. Training all of your employees to use the software is probably the biggest cost when you're buying our software. And we put that out in front of the customers as much as possible and try and explain that to them. And also their time commitment, look, from the management level even, to get it implemented, to get it working. And then if you buy it and don't use it, that's another cost. So, and one thing you said really resonated with me. If we're not the right company, we're not the right company. In many cases we are. But it has to be a good fit. So we can't sell something if somebody's not going to use it, because that's not good for us. It's not good for them. But definitely a lot of cost involved in just the implementation.
Yeah.
And I think, Dan, you've been doing this a lot longer than me. What do you think?
I think there's a lot of people underestimate these exterior processes that they have to maintain, that they bolt on to software solutions. They'll say, oh yeah, this is the perfect solution. And I'm going to use this Excel file to fill this gap. And then they create this wonderful Excel file, and then that individual leaves. And then now they have to rewrite the Excel file, who has the password. And we inevitably come in the background and say, okay, well, tell me about this Excel file. Why do you use it? And the answer is typically, oh, it's because that's what we do. Like, okay, well, explain to me how this works. What's this calculation? Oh yeah, the calculation is what was in the spreadsheet. Okay, why do you, anyway, so you end up with a lot of times people will fill in gaps with technology, especially with software, and they really forget about how much effort is going into one, building it, two, maintaining it. There is a sweet spot where that gap is like, it's ideal because everyone's there, but it only lasts, the honeymoon is over pretty quickly.
Sure.
Absolutely, and we recently were going through a software implementation. We did one a few years back with our ERP system, and I think the company that did it pretty much also stayed with us to do other advancements in the software, other developments, dev projects that we had. And sometimes, as your business grows, you got to keep that in mind too, right? That you may need to add that extra option later on, and you're going to want to have someone that can do it at a good price that you can trust. And we get that often. We do a lot of, like Stacy said earlier, a lot of laboratories from scratch, and we got to think about how to make sure that they stay within their budget, but as they grow, we can help them grow as well. And that's a big part of our customer service. Or after sales support is usually what we call it, to be able to see that they are still engaged with us, and any needs that come out of the initial purchase can be taken care of, and we kind of let them know, hey, maybe 5 years on the road, you're going to need to replace that piece of equipment or do upgrade it, things like that. So we try to be very transparent with that, because I think sometimes that gets lost a little bit, but it's always a good conversation for the customer and for ourselves too. We learn a lot as well. So, anybody have anything else on that one?
No, you nailed it. Good job, man.
I often don't, but that was good.